WHNT News 19's Courtney Crown.
WHNT News 19's Courtney Crown.
Courtney Crown. They say the calls came in after 4 a.m. today. You can see there's still glass lying right here, glass from the door of this attempted burglary. You see that low shoulder sign, so that kind of gives you some context of what the road's like. I am literally stepping off the road right now, taking one step. Look at that. Already past that foot mark. And what you'll notice first is a lot of this dirt all over the parking lot. Oh, there we go, you guys. Good morning. We're here at the Probst Arena. When word of our story started getting around, things started changing for McDowell. 2 days ago, the district attorney's office decided not to prosecute, but Stephen would still have to wait 5 years for the charges on his record to go away. Less than 12 hours ago, the state signed off on a court order to dismiss the case with prejudice, meaning McDowell will never face charges for these crimes again. This is the man that Decatur police are looking for. This is Trayvon Jackson, and he's wanted on second-degree kidnapping charges. At this hour, police believe that he is en route to Gadsden. Police are looking for 2 people in either a cream or camo-colored truck. In relation to the incident you are looking at behind me. Right here we have just a look at the minor damage that's left over. You can see piles like this all around this area. It's not like anything you've ever thrown before.
Courtney Crown started taking action and working on this case more than 3 months ago. And Courtney, what did you find?
Well, Clarissa and Greg, Army reservist Stephen McDowell was arrested because police think he looks like the man in a burglary surveillance video. But Stephen always said, "It's not me." This case continued to unfold until this afternoon, and a credible source gives the case-breaking tip, new warrants are issued, and an innocent man walks free. Now, before we get into those details, we want to show you the story just as we intended to air it, so you can get a sense of the stakes involved. This man burglarized both Huntsville Utilities and Apon Pawn Shop on Blue Spring Road on May 1st, 2016. This is a picture of the man Huntsville police arrested, Stephen McDowell, and this is the perpetrator. The district attorney's office says both pictures show McDowell, but Stephen and his family point out the differences they think are obvious.
I looked at the picture, I handed it right back to him because it's like, how do you not know your own kid? Like, why do you need to study a photograph to see is this really my kid, you know? No, it's not him.
For example, they say Stephen's skin is lighter, his eyes closer together, his lips lighter colored and different sizes. They also point out this chickenpox scar on the left side of his face and his nose. Stephen's mother, Tam Jackson, says the noses aren't the same sizes nor structure.
I just want people to see that this isn't my baby.
Stephen's former landlord, with whom he has a rough relationship, pointed him out after the surveillance picture aired on the news. The police reports show there were fingerprints found, but analysis of them was not concluded in the evidence against Stephen. The video shows the subject, but they never checked his height. Investigators went to Stephen's mother, who said it wasn't her son. Then the police caught up with Stephen outside of Huntsville Hospital. His 2-year-old nephew was inside, on life support, dying. Police told him to show up for questioning. A lawyer told him not to. Officers issued a warrant for his arrest. Now, his mother is talking to WHNT News 19 to get her son's story out and argue his innocence.
There is really no evidence linking Stephen to anything. There's no evidence. Like, there's no fingerprints, there's no motive.
The surveillance video is the only significant piece of evidence the prosecutor's office turned over to the defense in discovery. Jackson says the crime doesn't match his character.
I couldn't put the two together, like my son doing a burglary. I couldn't, because that's not in his nature. He's not like that.
McDowell says he has no criminal history. A check of Alabama court records shows that as well. He serves in the U.S. Army Reserves, did a tour in Afghanistan, has a wife and a job. McDowell and his family haven't pinpointed where Stephen was during the time of the crimes, but they argue innocent people don't track their every move.
We're not criminals. We don't live our lives trying to figure out, hey, can you make sure you tell so-and-so I was over here at so-and-so a time? We just live.
When word of our story started getting around, things started changing for McDowell. 2 days ago, the district attorney's office decided not to prosecute, but Stephen would still have to wait 5 years for the charges on his record to go away. Less than 12 hours ago, the state signed off on a court order to dismiss the case with prejudice, meaning McDowell will never face charges for these crimes again. For him and his family, today is the day they've dreamed of for months.
I personally want to thank Courtney Crown and the WHNT investigative news crew. They did exactly what their title encloses, and they investigated and they did it thorough and they did it fair and honest. The more and more the story went on, the more and more we felt comfortable with you guys. And I won't ever watch another news channel other than WHNT.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
And we aren't finished taking action yet. We're going to follow this case until McDowell's charges are wiped from his record.
All right, Courtney, now the dismissal of this case isn't the only big news we want to share tonight.
No, a man charged with 2 counts of burglary in connection to crimes committed on May 1st, 2016 is sitting in the Madison County Jail tonight. Huntsville police arrested Derek Hines last night. They now believe he is the person responsible.
So, Courtney, can we see a side-by-side look at McDowell, Hines, and the surveillance photo?
Absolutely. Take a look. Here's Private First Class Stephen McDowell and the surveillance video that they used to accuse him. And here is the man Huntsville police have now arrested, Derek Hines. You can see him compared to a few of the shots from that surveillance video. Court filings now say he's been linked to the crime by a credible witness. And here at the end, we'll take a look at all 3 of them together. Stephen on the left, the burglar in the middle, and Derek Hines on your right.
Okay, so what's next now that this mess seems to have been untangled?
Well, the court's decisions also means Stephen can apply for expungement 90 days from today. However, I spoke with Assistant District Attorney Jeff McCluskey just this afternoon. Now it's up to the defense to file for a court order which would make it possible to wipe Stephen's record clean more quickly if it's granted. And McCluskey says, and I quote, "I will do anything I can to help facilitate the expungement of McDowell's charges."
When I close my eyes, I think of the last time I saw him, and, excuse me, he was carrying a skateboard.
Jason West's Aunt Jennifer's heart is broken.
I was supposed to come back 2 days later and take him to graduation lunch. And that's what I think of, how sweet he was. I'll see you, Jenny.
The case involving the death of her nephew is moving forward. 22-year-old DeCedric Ward pleaded not guilty to capital murder, robbery, and capital murder shooting from an occupied vehicle on Wednesday. DeCedric, do you have anything to say to the family? 19-year-old Trevor Cantrell faces the same charges.
I know it's going to be a long, drawn-out process, but I'm really grateful that it's begun. I'm grateful to all of the men and women who are working so hard on the investigation.
An investigation into a shooting at the Sonic restaurant on County Line Road the day after Christmas last year. Authorities say 18-year-old West believed he was purchasing Xanax from Ward and Cantrell. That's before authorities say Cantrell and Ward robbed him, and Ward pulled a trigger.
When I see them, it's just impossible for me to believe that I'm standing so close to people who could do such a thing, to such a sweet, sweet young man.
West family members band together to get through the heartache, grateful justice is being served.
The fact that it's such a long process kind of prevents closure, but I know that's the way justice moves, and that's how we can be sure that justice is done. But we're just really glad that things are moving along now.
In Limestone County, Courtney Crown, WHNT News 19. E4 Johnny Davis doesn't talk about the Vietnam War.
Well, I've been married for 44 years to my wife, and she didn't know anything about the medals, and my 3 children didn't know anything about them, and none of my friends knew anything about it. I didn't talk about it.
News from the Madison County Military Heritage Commission recently brought his past to his present.
Sometimes you feel like you kept that part away from them, and they didn't know.
Maybe it's difficult because the Vietnam War wasn't part of the life Davis wanted for himself at the time.
I was drafted. They did a number system, and I was like 60-some, so when I got my letter to go, it wasn't a real shock, really, because I knew I was probably going to have to go.
A few weeks after training, Davis received orders sending him to Cam Ranh Bay, South Vietnam.
I was crew chief gunner on a Huey helicopter. I was in a CAV unit, 1st Aviation Division, B Troop 717 Cal.
A year in Vietnam memorialized in the form of medals and mementos.
This is a photo of me while I was in Vietnam. This is a medal that's given from Vietnamese.
He's gained a lot since his service, a wife, children, grandkids, but he still grieves what he lost, what our country lost.
The true hero in my eyes is the ones that didn't come back in the 1600 that's MIA.
On November 10th, in front of his fellow battle buddies, Davis brings up his service one more time as he enters the Hall of Heroes.
I'm honored to be asked and accepted.